I've been playing games in the Dune universe since I was 7 years old, and I'm looking forward to this new game, Dune Awakening, a survival MMO that does not have a release date yet. Sev, what do you think about this new game that they just announced the other day?
I think it's interesting. I feel like there's plenty of stuff we still don't know, but we can kind of speculate, and I think that's what we can do in this video of kind of get from the information we currently have been given and kind of speculate on what it'll look like.
Yeah, I think that the game, well, they've already said specific things like it's sort of a bigger version of the Conan Exiles game that was put out I don't know, a couple years ago. I guess it was 3 4 years ago. I think they did like an early access, and it's out now. So it's sort of like a bigger version of that. Instead of it being like a 100 person server or something, it sounds like that they're trying to do thousands of people and it actually be like a true MMO.
So have you've played Conan Exiles, right?
Yeah, I played it a fair amount.
In there, is it kind of the combat and stuff like that? Is everything kind of a little bit like Ark too?
It's similar. I would say it's pretty close, like combat wise, and the way you level up and unlock things like, crafting recipes and that kind of thing. They're very similar types of games, yeah.
What I notice on the whole website stuff. So this is like a survival MMO, which I think will be kind of cool to play. Um, One of the things I noticed that they mentioned is that you're gonna have to build shelters against sandstorms. My kind of thinking about that is like you just place them anywhere, or is it kind of or you think it's gonna be like, hey, here's a specific area or something like that? Because like in Ark and other games, you're just like you can just find a place that you think looks good
Hmm.
and works great. Kind of what I'm also thinking is that what they kind of things they're saying where you go into the desert and all this other stuff, my
Hmm.
thinking is there will be some locations where you can build because then you build in those locations and then you go out into the desert. You can't just build your location out in the middle of the desert. It'll get like maybe destroyed or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's something that they brought up that I thought was kind of interesting and sort of a uh, fun gameplay mechanic. The way they made it sound was the way that the sandstorms work. You don't really want to be stuck in the sandstorm. I assume it'll kill you or damage you or whatever. But what it also does is, as it moves throughout the world, the sandstorms uncover new things in those areas. So, like, if you go to an area that has, an old research station is one of the things they mentioned their information. You can explore that and get loot out of it and that kind of thing. But then when the sandstorm comes through, that research station might be buried, and something else might be uncovered, like an old ruin of an old siege, which is where the Fremen live.
It's kind of interesting way to keep things dynamic in a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah, I think it could be a lot of
Uh,
fun depending on how it works, and I think because of that sandstorm mechanic, I'm wondering if maybe the exploration and like play zones might be different than the building zones. That's just
yeah,
a guess. I obviously have no clue, but
that makes sense. I think one of the things is that it sounds like it's also like a crafting game and stuff like that, like a lot of survival games are. So I think like what I imagine they talk a lot about spice. Spice seems like it's going to be an important resource. So my thought on how you're harvesting spice, you grab a bunch of resources or something like that to craft the harvester. So you go out into the middle of the desert. You happen to cross a node of spice, and my thought is that what they're doing is essentially you craft it, or there's a button or something basically to start the whole thing.
hmm.
And there's like a timer on how long it takes for you to gather a spice. Say it's like a 5 minute thing or
Hmm.
whatever. And you just have to defend that, like, or defend it from other people coming to get it. Because I think like PvP could possibly happen, or like, other people like raiders or something can come in and get the spice from you and basically kill you and come and take your spice.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like you go out there into the desert, find a node, you try to get the spice, and then you have to try to get it, try to get back without getting killed.
Yeah, they said that you actually do. It says specifically deploy your harvester. So I assume like you actually build, vehicles, and they've talked about vehicles as well, but specifically the harvester, like you would build that, find a spice bloom, and you set it up, or set it to harvesting, and you have to defend that from, raiders and whatever. So that will be interesting. I assume also because it's Dune that sandworms are going to be an issue for harvesting as well. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I don't know if that means they don't specifically say PvP or PvE, so I don't know if this is going to be like a 100% PvP kind of thing with, I doubt it'll be 100% because they're probably going to have like, some things and, to guard like, ruins and that kind of stuff, the exploration part of it. I imagine that's just again a guess, but um, I'm wondering more specifically is if there's going to be servers like a typical MMO, is there going to be PvE servers and PvP servers, or is there going to be a some sort of weird combination? Because I know, depending on the MMO you play, some games, you might be on a server that has no PvP, or only PvP if you flag yourself, or it might be PvP everywhere but major towns or something like that. So that'll be interesting to see how they do that because it seems like every MMO handles the PvP part of it a little bit differently.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I think like hopefully they'll actually come out and state whether or not it is PvP or PvE,
Hmm.
how that works.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that that's the because I could see people just wanting to the fun of survival games without having to, just against the environment and
Hmm.
against NPCs, not against people, because
Yeah.
people can be outmaneuver and be smarter than computers.
Yeah. And honestly, I enjoy both. Typically PvP, like I've played Rust by myself and it can be fun, but man, it gets old like getting your butt kicked when you're by yourself. Like you don't have anybody to
Yeah,
like watch your back or help you out. So it honestly depends for me whether or not PvP is good in the game is on a personal basis is if I have somebody to play with in that specific game. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that pans out, but it sounds like you can have a faction of your own. So I assume there's guilds and that sort of thing. So
yeah, I think that seems pretty cool. They other thing I always noticed is like about the spice is they talked about it consuming it and
hmm.
helping like
Oh
probably
yeah.
it choosing abilities and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So it sounds like you'll be able to. There's some kind of level up system
Yeah.
going in there with like you want to. Part of the reason you're going to get spices is also probably for trading and stuff like that, but also to consume to make your person better and stuff
Right.
like that.
That's
Um,
that's
I
kind of what
also
I'm interested
cool.
in too. Is if it's going to be the combat system. If it's going to be just like Conan Exiles or if it's going to have a little bit of a MMO mix to it because a lot of MMOs have abilities, like a actual toolbar of them or I mean it can range from anything like World of Warcraft that has 70 of them and something like Elder Scrolls that you only have like 5 of them. So,
Yeah, I think that like yeah, I think I'm kind of curious on what their plans are for that. They obviously we're gonna have to wait because
mhm.
they haven't announced barely anything. It's so very little. My assumption is I was thinking about it's going to be something like an arc type of thing because also with arc in the way that you create, you know, you can you capture dinosaurs or whatever to
Mhm.
fly them, but you could build stuff or whatever
Mhm.
and you fly that or drive it or something like that here. So you work your characters up and stuff like that. There are some things they talked about with like um when it comes to working. I wonder if they're going to be all of it is just going to be upgraded by using spice to upgrade your abilities because they're also talking about like making like walking make it sounds like to me like your abilities for walking you need to like get a better versions of that so you can do a better job without getting sandworms coming after you and stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
it'd be kind of cool if they added a version of that where you just get better over time by just using it like Valheim. You like as you use it, you get
that
better
would
at
be
it.
cool.
I think that.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
that's something too that I kind of noticed. They have a fair amount of um, specific lore things that they sort of combined with gameplay, um, which I mean, obviously is to be expected, but it's still nice to see that it's not just sort of a generic whatever. Like they're actually using the lore. Like they talk about, learning to walk or whatever kind of thing, which is something from the books and the lore in general of Fremen being able to walk in a specific way as to not attract sandworm. So that's interesting. And so is the spice consumption thing. To kind of maybe it's to customize your character or to just unlock abilities. I don't know, but it's interesting. Um,
Yeah, I think there's also kind of with the spice too. They're talked about you get influence with the Lancerad, if I pronounce that right, and
mm,
that basically they're going ahead and it looks like you're probably trading most likely spice with them and stuff like that
mm.
to get more influence with them. So I'm kind of it looks like it's kind of interesting the dynamics they're going to be using for reputations and
Yeah,
things.
reputation and
Um,
political stuff. Yeah,
yeah, so I think this will be a pretty interesting game. I'm kind of excited for them to actually show some gameplay.
yeah, for
But
sure.
this they started development 2019, so it sounds like it's halfway through or
Yeah,
close to it, maybe on production.
yeah. I'm hoping to probably not this year. Maybe though. I'm hoping because of the way they're doing the Dune movies that they want to capitalize on that media and the advertisement that
Hype,
that kind of thing. They're
get on
trying
the
to
hype train.
capitalize on the advertisement of the Dune movies, and so if that's the case, then I'm hoping the beta and stuff maybe isn't that far out because the next Dune movie comes out I think next fall. So maybe sometime next year or like the end of next year. If not the game itself, I don't know how deep they are. If they started in 2019, a full-on MMO usually takes what 5-6 years at least, something around there. That's just a guess. I
Yeah, I
don't
think
I
so.
don't know, but so yeah, that could be. I'm hoping anyway that we'll see something more substantial within the next year or whatever, maybe even the beta itself.
So, all right, down in the comments, say what you're looking forward to, like the number one thing you'd like to have see in the Dune MMO. So,
Hmm.
Drugger, what would you like to see? Like the number one thing you'd like to see in this game?
That's a good question. I think of the things that they've talked about, I'm always in these types of games. I like the exploration part of it the most. Um, so I guess I would like to see a fairly robust, make it worth my time to explore and to find things and to scavenge for stuff in these old buildings and exploration areas that you can get into. I think that would be probably one of the prime things for me because that's what I enjoy. I like going through things and like I'll play 7 Days to Die, and my favorite part is to just go through the houses and see what I can find and hopefully find some good stuff. So
Okay. I like that. I think that like it's just I I agree. I like the exploration. That it's always fun looking for you get a lot of trash, but then you get that good stuff once in a while. Like sweet.
hmm
I would say that's what I enjoy too. I think what I look forward to in it is that like watching the trailer, thinking about the universe and stuff like that. I I swear there better be some sandworm riding going on, or I'm going to be
you
disappointed.
gotta think so. It's in the trailer, right? If not, there's gonna be people that
Right.
are upset.
Right? False advertisement. I think, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Survival MMO coming out. We have a other company, Blizzard Entertainment. I believe they're also working on a survival MMO. So
Supposedly,
supposedly,
we'll,
so
we'll see if
kind of
that. Ever,
cool.
I forgot that they announced that to be honest, but
Yeah, hopefully they actually have something soon. But yeah, pretty exciting.
yeah,
Got anything else you'd like to add?
Uh, Not really.
Thank you for stopping by today. If you enjoyed this conversation about Dune Awakening, look for, in the next few weeks, our review of the early access game, Dune Spice Wars. In the meantime, check out some of our other content you see on your screen now.